Today we're getting into the latest Tesla tech and EV news, including the feature that might get Teslas banned, the Model YL already sold out for months, Amazon's Robotaxis expanding in Las Vegas, Spotify adding lossless streaming, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, for the Model Y, even though we're still waiting on these more affordable versions of this car, Tesla has been making some interesting moves. Of course, we've seen the performance model launched in Europe, we've seen the Model YL launched in China, but a Model Y all-wheel drive was spotted in inventory in Switzerland. This car specifically lists a 600-kilometer WLTP range for the 84 kilowatt-hour LG5M pack. This is the new pack that they're shipping on the Model Y Performance in certain markets that helps deliver a higher range and charging curve. It's a small improvement, but a good one overall. The range that this Model Y Performance in Europe delivers is in line with the other Model Y specs, which is a big improvement over the Model 3 Performance in the US. In the US, the Model 3 delivers, for rear-wheel drive, 357 miles EPA, all-wheel drive, 346 miles EPA, and then performance all the way down to 298 miles. Thanks to this new pack, though, for the Model Y Performance, it's coming in very similar to the all-wheel drive in top range. So now it looks like Tesla may be delivering that same battery pack on the standard all-wheel drive version of this car, which would indicate a decent improvement, possibly in range, but then charge performance as well. The charge performance of the Model Y Performance and Model 3 Performance with this new pack that is not in the US yet is proving better than the previous packs Tesla has shipped. Quote, the improvement looks significant with a potential 15% reduction in 10 to 80% charging time, 26 minutes versus 31 minutes. Now that isn't quite the improvement that I think a lot of people want to see long term, say going from 31 minutes down to 15 minutes or less for that 10 to 80% charge. But it's still an improvement that will be noticeable to certain customers who supercharge a lot. In any case, for that Model Y Performance, it is on its way to customers over in Europe, which is very exciting to see. This car does bring a number of improvements and improvements over the Model 3 Performance, with things like leg support and more in the car that are exclusive to that. So soon we'll hopefully be seeing this launch in other markets, including the United States. For the Model YL over in China, it is officially sold out. Tesla's recently launched Model YL is a 6-seat extended wheelbase version of the Model Y, and it is now sold out through October over in China. Customers are placing new orders and seeing delivery dates pushed out to November of 2025. Deliveries of this car are well underway over in China, and Tesla got a great head start with that car. So September was the start of delivery. We're already seeing these cars out on the street, and then they're already booked out for over 2 months. So far, it appears that this model is expanding Tesla's reach in the Chinese market by appealing to buyers looking for more space and seating capacity, which seems like something quite obvious for Tesla to launch in the United States as well. The hope is that this bolsters Tesla's quarterly performance in China, since it's a very competitive EV market, while establishing the Model YL as a potential export product to other markets. It's priced at about $47,180, so it brings a lot of value at a much cheaper price than is available in the United States for the Model Y. In any case, that's kind of Tesla's focus in other markets, but for the United States, full self-driving in the Robotaxi is really their focus. In a recent interview with Elon Musk, he says that a big performance upgrade is coming for FSD. Version 14 of FSD will be the biggest upgrade in software since version 12. Quote, your car is going to feel like it is sentient by the end of the year. And there he's talking about the end of 2025, so some big improvements should come in the next few months. Then he talked about Tesla's future AI5 chip. Now, today, Tesla ships their AI4 chip. So when he's talking about this AI5 and 6 chip, it's things to come in the future on their future cars. But he said for AI5 that it's 40 times better than AI4 in some metrics. It has 8 times better raw compute and 9 times more memory. Quote, I am confident that the AI4 chips currently in the cars will achieve self-driving safety at least 2 to 3 times that of a human, maybe 10 times. So he seems to be clarifying here that yes, this chip is a lot better and probably could be safer in the future, but this AI4 chip they're already shipping on cars today does deliver a lot. Now, regarding Tesla's future of Optimus, Elon said that this is the hardest project Tesla has ever done in their history. That doesn't come as much of a surprise that a humanoid robot, a project we have kind of heard about for decades from tons of different companies, is something that they're having a difficult time with overall. He said the hardest part in general is the hand from a hardware perspective. But it's one of those things where in Tesla's view, it's something that could pay off massively in the long run. But back to robotaxis and full self-driving, Tesla's robotaxi/ride-hailing service is currently available in Austin, Texas, and the Bay Area of California. That's only 2 markets, and of course they still have safety monitors involved in both of those markets, but other companies like Waymo are available in other markets like Phoenix. I was just there and rode in one, but it looks like Tesla will be expanding to Arizona quite soon here. A validation robotaxi was spotted on the freeway in Tempe, Arizona. Seeing it on the freeway is interesting because maybe Tesla is trying to launch fully with freeways in that market from the get-go, versus other markets like Austin, they are just starting to expand to freeways with a safety monitor in the driver's seat. However, it seems we should probably see this ramping up over in Arizona and then hear more about Tesla actually launching there. Regarding launching their robotaxi network in other markets as well, in Nevada, it looks like Tesla has received certain approvals that could allow them to launch quite soon in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is one of those cities where when you're there, you do see a ton of robotaxis from a bunch of different companies testing all at the same time, including Zoox, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. Next up today, I want to mention a Tesla accessory that can be essential for many owners. In many markets, you're required legally to have a front license plate on your Tesla, but Tesla vehicles are not necessarily designed with the front plate in mind. As such, Tesla gives you a front bumper plate holder that attaches with adhesive, but I prefer the Quick Bandit. It's a high-quality bracket that attaches to the front lower vent on the Model Y or 3 or Cybertruck, and it provides a removable and damage-free alternative to Tesla's stock mount. They actually do make this for all Tesla vehicles as well. The locking screw adds extra security, so it's not simply removable by other people, but for you, you can take it off and replace it whenever you need. I love this especially for filming and taking photos of my cars so that it's nice and clean looking in those videos, but then I can put it back on to comply. This is definitely worth checking out, and make sure to get the specific one for your vehicle as the shape is a bit different for each one. They're all linked in the description below. Next up today, Tesla's vehicles from the beginning, or at least from the Model S, have come with flush door handles. It's part of Tesla's design at this point, and with the Model S, those door handles pop out when you approach the car, and for the Model 3 and Y, you press in with your thumb and then the rest pulls out from there. However, these are still electronically controlled door handles as a whole. It's one of those things that Tesla opted for from a design perspective, while some people think they're just kind of frustrating to deal with, and some worry about safety in certain regards. Tesla is by far not the only company that ships cars with these flush door handles, and one of the reasons behind them as well, from a design perspective, is aerodynamics. They can actually improve aerodynamics, which is especially important for electric vehicles. However, over in China, they are considering regulations to ban fully retractable or flush car door handles, the kind that sit flush with the car body and then pop out or retract. Yes, these are the kinds that tons of EVs have today, including all Teslas. And this ban is expected to begin enforcement in July of 2027 after about a 1-year transition period for automakers. Automakers would still be allowed to use semi-retractable or traditional door handles, but future designs must include a mechanical backup system so doors can open in the case of power failure. It will be interesting to see more of the detail here because Teslas do have backup releases in the case of power failure inside the car. So regulators here may be going after Chinese companies that don't have backups in those specific cases, or maybe they're looking for door handles that can be opened from the exterior as well in these cases. Now, part of the big reason why regulators are wanting this is because real-world and test data suggest that there are safety risks with flush and retractable handles. In crash tests over in China, vehicles with hidden electronic door handles had only a 67% success rate for doors opening after side collisions versus 98% for traditional handles. Then there are extreme weather issues as well, with frozen motors in cold climates that have trapped occupants because the handles wouldn't operate. There are electrical failures where things have happened in heavy rain, short circuits have prevented doors from unlocking or opening, and they have forced passengers to break windows to exit. On top of those are reliability and cost concerns. They're generally costing about 3 times what mechanical handles cost, and they say that they also fail about 8 times as often. Now, it's important to note this isn't necessarily specific to Tesla. These are across the board, and we're talking about all levels of EVs. You can get very cheap electric vehicles over in China. So there are cars there that we do not see in the United States in the slightest. So we could be talking about some very cheap build quality being associated with a lot of these studies. But it does seem like something Tesla would be caught up in, even if they're not responsible for this whatsoever. They also say that the weight of the electronic motor mechanisms for these specific releases add up to 8 kilograms, which can cancel out any aerodynamic savings. So they say overall it's a questionable benefit. On top of that, the aerodynamic advantage is very, very slight, and some independent studies have said it's even slighter than automakers make it out to be. So it will be interesting to see how this comes into focus. Maybe Tesla is already fine because they have their backup mechanical releases inside the vehicle. In the front seats of most Tesla vehicles, you have a secondary door release right there on the door itself. In the rear seats, you have a secondary door release located in the side pockets of those doors. You do have to lift a flap to get to it, and it's not super obvious, but maybe they will end up fine in this. However, if they don't, and flush handles are banned across the board, this is something that would probably affect Teslas globally. Tesla now updates their cars in China first. We've seen this with the Model 3, the Model 3 Performance, the Model Y, the Model YL. So Tesla doesn't really make changes in the United States. They actually launch these cars in other markets first, and then keep them pretty much exactly the same and launch them in the United States. So this would be something that if Tesla's required to change it in China, they might also change it in the United States, which would be interesting to see. People are getting more used to these door handle designs in the United States, and I think overall Tesla customers like what the design looks like. However, you still have to explain how these handles work to a lot of people who are getting into one of these cars for the first time, and some people that own these cars still find them quite annoying. So the question is, would this regulation from China end up trickling all the way down to the United States with Tesla having to ship their cars with much more normal door handles? I think that they would figure out a way around this so that they don't have to have actual non-flush door handles. They would instead have some sort of backup release that meets these requirements so that they can stay standard across the board. But it will be very interesting to see what vehicles get affected by this in the coming year. Do you think Tesla will have to make this change, or do you want them to make this change? What are your thoughts on Tesla's current door handle situation? Leave a comment below to let me know your thoughts. Next up today, some updates from Tesla's software. In Tesla's version 2025.32.2, it includes an undocumented change, where older vehicles with Intel processors and ultrasonic sensors are retaining full FSD visualizations even when in reverse. Previously, when shifting into reverse for these cars, the displays would fall back to a more simple visual, rather than showing the richer FSD-style detail. Now these detailed visualizations, which show curbs, vehicles, and other surroundings, persist regardless of which gear you're in, forward or reverse. This is notable because it shows Tesla is still improving on the visualizations on older and less powerful hardware. Of course, we're talking about AI 5 in the future, and today they're shipping AI 4, but this is another processor involved with this whole thing on even older cars, and they're still absolutely improving things there. That change was undocumented there, but another update is coming as well. With lane departure, Tesla will now say lane drift detected. Let FSD assist so you can stay focused. Then, when it also detects drowsiness for the driver, they will say drowsiness detected, stay focused with FSD. These are interesting updates to see because some would argue that if drowsiness is detected, FSD is not necessarily going to help with that, although I think most people would take a drowsy driver on FSD over a drowsy driver without FSD. But at the end of the day, do not drive drowsy. Either way, these are peaks at the future of FSD and getting to that point where it's actually safer than human drivers with all of their flaws. Last up today, some updates from other automakers and tech companies. Zoox is an Amazon-owned Robotaxi service, and they're officially launching to the public in Las Vegas, offering free rides along the Las Vegas Strip. This is a great way to have people try this out initially, because it's entirely free. I think people will be much more eager to try it, but part of that is also because they're still awaiting regulatory approval to begin charging fares. This service is available to anyone via the Zoox mobile app, and it's not just for employees or early testers or anything. What makes Zoox particularly interesting is that these vehicles are purpose-built autonomous taxis without steering wheels or pedals, and the passengers sit facing each other inside the car. It's much more of a peek at the future of robotaxis because it's not just a car that is being used as a robotaxi. It is designed from the ground up for that purpose. Initial operations cover only short trips, up to 3 miles, between designated hotspots, including entertainment venues like Resorts World, Luxor, New York, Area 15, and Topgolf. With this launch, they're up to about 50 robotaxi vehicles as a whole across Las Vegas and San Francisco. Coming up after this Las Vegas launch, Zoox is planning to expand further in San Francisco, then expand to Austin, Miami, Atlanta, and Los Angeles. So there are a number of competitors out there for Tesla's Robotaxi network. We have Waymo, the big one that everyone knows about since they've kind of been around the longest, but Zoox is aiming to produce up to 10,000 Robotaxi vehicles annually from its production facility in California. I'm very curious to see how this launch goes, and I'll definitely check it out next time I'm in Las Vegas. Next up, over at Apple, they announced their AirPods Pro 3, which bring a number of improvements, and we're getting more and more details here. The main upgrades are enhanced active noise cancellation, live translation, and then heart rate tracking. They claim that their new ANC is roughly twice as strong compared to AirPods Pro 2 and 4 times as strong compared to AirPods Pro 1. Then there's that heart rate sensor, which will be great for tracking workouts without needing an Apple Watch, but there's a live translation feature that is pretty big here. This lets you translate spoken conversations in real time using the AirPods and the iPhone and iOS 26. This still works even if only one person has compatible AirPods, but if both do, each will get translations directly in their ears. And launch languages include English, French, German, Portuguese, and Spanish. Soon to come are Italian, Japanese, Korean, and simplified Chinese. This is one of those features that has been around from certain apps, but once it gets built into the AirPods in this way, it's something that could really change things, because it gets adopted at a much larger scale, and we could actually see people ready to use this with each other without having to really explain, oh, let's use this app. I'm very curious to test this out, and I'll definitely do a test with someone I know that speaks 2 languages. Now, as for fit and comfort, there are more ear tips included with this, 5 including an extra small for better fit. And they've improved this to an IP57 rating for better dust and water resistance. Battery life is improved up to 8 hours with active noise cancellation on. There's more battery and transparency, and even more in non-ANC modes. And these come in at $249 in the United States with pre-orders starting now and availability on September 19th. At the end of the day, these are just the latest version of headphones, but it seems like they're getting even further from a device that just delivers music and sound. They're including all of these features for working out and live translation and more. But speaking of music specifically, Spotify has officially launched lossless audio for the first time. This is something they have been promising since 2017. This new offering streams music at 24-bit 44.1 with FLAC format, and all premium subscribers in 50 markets, including the US, UK, Germany, Japan, Australia, Sweden, and more, will get access with no new tier or price increase required. When this becomes available, you'll get a notification, and you can enable it via the media quality settings. Initial device support includes Sony, Bose, Samsung, and Sennheiser, with Sonos and Amazon compatibility coming soon, but one limitation is that this lossless is CD quality only, falling short of competitors like Apple Music, Tidal, and more. Those offer high-res up to 24/192. Now, for the average listener, these improvements will probably be subtle, but this opens the door for a future where Spotify is high-res across the board, matching all of these other services. At this point, it seems that YouTube Music is the only service that does not allow streaming at CD quality. I'm a musician myself and a big fan of music, so I've been a Tidal subscriber for a long time, and I'm very happy to see higher quality audio across the board. At the end of the day, streaming is very convenient, but we've gone down in quality compared to where we were at with CDs, so now we're getting back to it and beyond, and I'm excited to see that. That's all the latest Tesla tech and EV news for today. So in the meantime, if you want to see a breakdown of the true cost of owning a Tesla vehicle, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.